All right, today we're jumping into a really profound text from the 14th century called the Dialogue of Divine Providence. At its heart, it's this incredibly intimate conversation between a soul that is just desperate for answers and, well, the divine. It's a journey from total darkness to understanding, and it all kicks off with a simple, powerful plea.
So, what sets this whole thing in motion? It's a single soul. You have to picture someone who feels completely lost, just surrounded by confusion, but they have this burning desire to understand what's real. As the text puts it, they are thirsty and hungry for truth, begging for some kind of clarity in a world that just feels dark.
And this leads to the central problem, the question that the soul brings before God. And honestly, it's a question that feels just as relevant today as it was centuries ago. If I'm already lost in the dark, how am I supposed to even recognize the light? How can I possibly tell a difference between what's true and what's false when my own vision is shot? This question is what drives everything we're about to explore.
So, how does the divine respond to this desperate plea? Well, not with a big, complicated list of rules. Nope. It starts with a simple, foundational idea, a really powerful metaphor about light.
The logic here is just beautiful. Think about it. To see anything, literally anything in the physical world, you need a light source, right? Like the sun. You could have 20/20 vision, but if you're in a pitch-black room, you see nothing. Well, in the spiritual world, God explains, the exact same principle applies. The light you need to see anything clearly, to have any understanding at all, is what the text calls the light of faith. It's the objective, ever-present truth. And this isn't just someone's interpretation. It's right here in the original text. This framework, this whole idea, is laid out word for word. God explains that this light of faith is absolutely essential. The light, we're told, is always there, always shining. So, why doesn't the soul see it?
And that leads us to the next logical question in this conversation. I mean, if this divine light of faith is always on, why does the soul feel like it's stumbling around in total darkness? What's blocking the view?
The text gives this obstacle a name: sin. But it's so important we understand what sin means here. It's not just about doing a bad thing. It's framed as a fundamental act of turning away from that source of light. It's a rebellion that has a direct and immediate consequence. It literally clouds and dims the intellect's own ability to see.
The dialogue lays this out like a chain reaction, a clear cause and effect. First, the soul turns its back on the light. That's sin. Second, doing that immediately messes with the soul's ability to understand things. Third, that loss of clarity plunges the soul into a deep spiritual darkness. And fourth, that state of darkness, that blindness, gets a name: ignorance.
And this quote right here is the linchpin. It shows that in this way of thinking, ignorance isn't just a passive thing like not knowing a fact. No, it's the direct result of sin, and it becomes the active cause of all the other bad stuff that happens. A soul in this state literally can't tell good from evil anymore, so it just keeps stumbling.
Okay, so we have the light of faith, and we have the obstacle, the blindness that comes from sin. That brings us to the final, crucial piece of this whole puzzle. How can the soul's eye, which is now clouded by darkness, ever hope to see that light again? Well, the answer is a divine gift. And that gift is called grace. Now, grace isn't the light itself. Remember, that's faith. Think of grace as the thing that repairs the eye. It's the divine help that allows the soul's mind to start working properly again, to actually perceive the light that's been there all along. The metaphor the text uses for this it's stunning. It says grace is the pupil of the eye. I mean, just think about that for a second. The pupil doesn't create light, but it's the little opening that lets the light in. If your pupil is shut, it doesn't matter how bright the sun is, you're not going to see a thing. And this just lays out the whole mechanism perfectly. With grace, the spiritual pupil is open. The soul can finally receive that light of faith and see things clearly. It can tell what's good, what's true. But without grace, that pupil is slammed shut. The light is blocked, and the soul is just stuck, blind, ignorant, and lost. So, let's bring this all home. We followed the soul from its desperate question in the dark, all the way to this profound revelation about how spiritual sight actually works. The path to clarity is now laid out. So here's the entire framework in a nutshell. The soul starts out lost. God explains that the light of truth, or faith, is always there for us. But our own actions, sin, can create a kind of blindness we call ignorance. To fix that blindness, we need the gift of grace, which works like the pupil of our spiritual eye, letting the light back in. And the ultimate lesson? True vision, true understanding, isn't just about having a light.
It requires both the light and a working ability to actually see it. And that, right there, is the big takeaway from this whole dialogue. The search for truth isn't some external quest to go find a hidden light source. That light is already here, all around us. The real work, the deeper spiritual journey, is an internal one. It's about healing our own vision and cultivating our ability to receive the light that's been shining all along.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought, a way to connect this 14th century wisdom to our own lives. In a world that is just saturated with information, an absolute flood of external light, is our biggest challenge really finding more truth? Or is it maybe cultivating the grace, the clarity, the internal vision we need to truly see what's already right in front of us?